especially since you're not actually dead. So unlike the other situation where your wife died by mistake, this one, there is actually no one dead. Like, there's no crime. You're essentially putting someone in jail for a crime when there's no crime. Like, you can't punish someone when there's no reason to punish them. Wow, it's my wife. Well,
1, 2, 3, let's go!
welcome to Two Guys, One Tape. Today, we discuss the 2006 mystery thriller film, The Prestige, directed by Christopher Nolan and featuring Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Michael Caine, Rebecca Hall, Scarlett Johansson, Andy Serkis, Piper Perabo, and David Bowie.
The story focuses on our two main protagonists, Alfred Borden, played by Bale, and Robert Angier, played by Jackman. The two are magicians who continually are trying to one-up the other for best magic trick.
It was the greatest magic trick I've ever seen.
Also important of note is that Angier also has extra motivation because he blames Borden for the death of his wife, Julia, in a trick gone wrong, in which she drowns after Borden may, or may not, have tied the wrong knot. Angier is even more angry when Borden claims he can't even remember what knot he tied.
I keep asking myself that. And I'm sorry, I just don't know.
You don't know? You don't know? You don't know? How can he not know?
How can he not know?
Angier becomes even more annoyed when Borden unveils his new trick, the Transported Man, in which Borden seems to appear in two different places. This baffles Angier, although his assistant, John Cutter, suspects a double, to which Angier and his female assistant, Olivia, disagree.
Why, how does he do it? He uses a double. No. It's too simple. This is a complex illusion. You only say that because you don't know the method. It's a double that comes out at the end. It's the only way. I've seen him perform the trick 3 times now, Mr. Carter. The Prestige is the same man. No, it's not. The same man comes out of that second cabinet, I promise you. And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good double.
However, he reluctantly tries using a double that looks just like him. That is, until Borden catches on and ruins the trick.
The Great Danton.
In order to find the secret, Angier orders Olivia to go work for Borden.
I need to know how he does it,
Why?
so I can do it better.
She reluctantly agrees and steals his journal, but only after falling in love with him. The journal reveals the name Tesla, and so Angier travels to America to have Tesla make him a machine that can do a better version of the trick.
Tesla makes the machine, and Angier performs the trick, but he dies right in front of Borden, who had snuck behind stage.
Hey! Where's the bloody key? Where's the bloody key? Hold on! Ah! Where have you gone?
Borden is then found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. However, it's revealed that Angier is still alive and desires to take Borden's daughter as an atonement for his sin against Julia. Despite Borden telling him he will give him everything, including the secrets to the Transported Man, Angier says he no longer has a need for it.
This, of course, leads to the big ending where the Prestige is finally revealed. It turns out that the machine that would seem to put Angier in 2 different places actually created a clone of himself over and over and over again. And the trick was actually that the clone would continually kill itself over and over again, while the real Angier would then appear on stage, making the audience think he had actually moved from one spot to another. This is what Borden sees when he goes behind the stage. He sees the clone dying. This, of course, causes the authorities to think that he has died, but in turn, he's actually just seeing a fake one. With his trick successful, he's able to blame Borden, make him look like a murderer, and go on living the rest of his life as now a rich and successful man because he performed over 100 shows doing the trick over and over again.
So before Angier can go and live his life of freedom and wealth, he needs to get rid of all the evidence. and that's the 100 bodies that are sitting in a warehouse. So he decides he's got to burn it down. That's the best way to do it. And at the same time in the movie, we see Borden, who's just about to be hung, and he's holding a rubber ball. And he gets hung, he drops the ball. But then we go back to Angier, and we see a ball bouncing towards him, and he picks it up. Then,
Boom! Tough acting, tin acting.
I mean, it's Borden.
Top act. It's revealed that, surprise, he had a double the whole time.
He uses a double method. It's a double. Double.
It's a double.
My brother. A twin.
It turns out that Borden had a twin the whole time. Yes, that's right. He was living a double life within a single life. Yes, it turns out the trick the entire time is that he would switch back and forth between one brother and the next. But the problem is with this, it led his women, whether his wife or his assistant, who became his girlfriend, to become confused. Because one day she'd be with one guy, and the next day she'd be with another. But she never knew the truth. And because of this, he was able to perform the trick without anyone ever realizing how it was done. Borden tells Angier that he's made a real sacrifice, that he's had to live a double life for years and years and years without anyone suspecting. And that's what real magic is. However, Angier disagrees. He believes that he's also had to make a sacrifice because he never knew if he was going to be the man in the box or the prestige. And tells Borden to look inside the tanks. But Borden doesn't care. Borden's got his revenge and marches out, leaving him to burn. In the final scene, we see that the prestige has really been completed. And all of a sudden, Borden again appears to his daughter.
So here's where it kind of stops making like a lot of sense for me, is how does Angier not know whether or not he's the guy who's going to be in the box or the one who's going to be teleported across the room?
Yeah, he seems to try and make it sound really epic by saying, I've known true sacrifice. But the truth is, I mean, he's had to sacrifice a lot of money, but he really hasn't. He definitely knew who he was, whether he was the man in the box or not. He never died. The clone was always the man in the box. We can see that from an actual scene. He stands there, he disappears, and that guy, a hole opens and he falls into it. That's not the real Angier. That's a fake. So the idea that he's made a sacrifice, again, the line sounds kind of epic, like, I have made a sacrifice. He really hasn't.
Yeah.
Insert a scene where he says, I've made a sacrifice. You're like, no, you really haven't. You really haven't.
Oh, no. 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 No, no.
Except for, okay, financial reasons, for sure. You traveled a long way. But, like, to go all that, I mean, it's a little obsessive. I think he's got some issues.
Of course, that leads us to question, does he get teleported and then, like, there's a clone that stands right where he was and drops? Or was there an extra clone? Or, you know, how does this all work? Like,
I think the best way to answer it is that, like, just try not to question it, you know?
yeah.
This is why cloning is such a difficult thing. I choose to think that the one on the stage was a clone, and that the floor would open up, he'd fall in and drown. And all of a sudden, boom, the real one would appear on stage. And then when he actually dies, or I should say the beginning of the movie, which is also the ending of the movie, when Borden actually sees someone in the thing, that's just a fake one. The real one was wherever, out somewhere else, you know, rubbing his hands together, getting all excited because he knew that, boom, we got him. He's going to jail. The plan is complete. And I have won. I have pulled off the trick and nobody can figure this out.
So, like, the only way yeah, I guess, like, it would have to be him. He would normally have to be kind of hiding in the stands somewhere, the real one. So that would mean for the normal trick, when he does it, he would have to do the cloning before the actual
That's right.
event.
Yes.
And then even though there's like a lot of electricity that you see go to it, like that can't be like the real machine trick.
Yeah, I think that was just for show, to make it look cool.
Right.
The machine was used to clone, but it was also used for, like, illusion, literally illusion. It's like, ooh, you made him disappear, when really it just fell through a trap hole.
Yeah.
And everyone's looking at the lightning. And of course, Borden would have realized that there was some type of trick involved, which is why he runs back behind the stage, because he's got to figure out, because he has this obsession. We find out afterwards that his twin brother basically said, you know, just drop the whole thing. You know what? He's figured it out. He's done this trick. Even we don't know how to do it. Who cares? But no, he's got to figure it out. He runs to the back, finds out that the guy's drowning, tries to save him. But now he himself looks like a murderer. And now he goes to jail and ends up being executed. So it's kind of weird because you could say, well, Borden wins in the end. I'm like, yeah, but not really, because his twin brother dies. In the end, it's kind of like a win-lose for everyone. Angier becomes, you could say, successful, financially successful, but also spends tons of money and now has to almost live in hiding for the rest of his life. And then ends up dying. While Borden loses his brother, can now live a normal life, but again, he lost his brother.
Well, and that's the thing. Can he actually live a normal life? Because they both ran under the identity of Borden. So if he's seen kind of walking around as himself, won't people be like, yo, how's this guy like
that's
walking
true.
around?
How is he alive? Yeah. Like, I mean, this is back in the early 1800s or late 1800s, early 1900s. I don't know if people were walking around going, hey, is that so-and-so? I saw it on social media. How is he alive?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he probably only would have to grow a beard. I mean, this guy obviously had tons of disguises.
True.
So he's probably, I feel like it's more, it would have been harder for Angier to actually live out his life because he would have been all over the newspapers. This guy, this magician died, and we have a picture of him running the thing, right on the front of the newspaper. And all of a sudden, isn't that him walking around? Like, all of a sudden, that rich guy over there? But I don't know. On the other hand, we had a guy who looked just like him, was walking around as the town drunk, and no one seemed to think anything of it. So,
True.
movie common sense, or lack of. We'll call it fake Borden. You know, they're both the real one, but we'll call it fake Borden. The one in jail is the fake one. Fake Borden tells the daughter, you know, I'm gonna get out, and obviously he has a plan. But like, what happens if he doesn't get out? What if that for some reason just blows up? That daughter, isn't she gonna be wondering the whole time, like, hey, where is my dad? Never came. Where is he? I mean, it doesn't really matter because it didn't happen anyway. But it's kind of a weird thing. This girl just wanders off with this guy, and then boom, her dad just randomly shows up to pick her up. I don't know. The whole thing is kind of weird.
Yeah, and she doesn't even like seem to have a problem with it.
Yeah, like my dad is just randomly in jail, and some other random guy who I've never met.
Yeah.
Apparently now is in charge of me. He's just gonna come and be my guardian. I don't even know who he is, but I guess I'll just trust him. Yeah. And then you could say one of the biggest mistakes that Angier made was that he became really cocky. And I know he didn't expect Michael Caine's character to show up at his house, but he essentially shows up at his house and he flaunts the daughter, and he's like, isn't that Borden's daughter? He's like, yeah, you know it is. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have it. And he's like, whatever. And it's like he became cocky, like, come on, old man. Like,
yeah,
what's the big deal? But of course, Mr. Cutter actually has a heart. And is like, no, like that's bad. Like, you can't steal the guy's daughter and frame him for murder when you do them right. He's like, well, can I? He killed my wife. And it's kind of like, okay, enough.
I think that's one of the nice things I like about the movie, because like, so there really isn't a good guy, right? Your two protagonists are complete jerks.
Yeah.
But Michael Caine, he's kind of the one who has the biggest character development in a sense, right? Where he's like totally on board with Angier. He's like, this guy's gonna be the next magician because he's got better showmanship, not because he's actually a better magician. And then he's like realizes when he gets Angier to come back to London that he's like, all right, this guy's kind of crazy. He's going nuts, and I don't like what he's doing.
And kidnapping someone's daughter.
And he's got a daughter, yeah.
And
like,
justifies it because, well, he killed my wife, apparently, but on purpose. So therefore,
Yeah.
I mean, I could steal his daughter and throw him in jail to be executed.
Yeah.
And Cutter's like, yeah, I'm. You
It
know,
would
your
be
wife is great, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm
Yeah.
not okay with that.
Yeah.
Especially since you're not actually dead. So unlike the other situation where your wife died by mistake, this one, there is actually no one dead. Like, there's no
Yeah.
crime. You're essentially putting someone in jail for a crime when there's no crime. Like, you can't punish someone when there's no reason to punish them. Well, it's my wife. Well, so, yeah, respect Michael Caine. I mean, the guy knew the plot the whole time.
Well, he did.
He didn't really understand it, per se, but he knew, like, it's a double. He didn't know it was a twin, but...
Well, because like even at the end when he like delivers the daughter to him, he's like not even surprised. He's just like, yeah, like nods at him, just like Dark Knight Rises. Those two have like the same chemistry going the whole time.
That's right. They were actually practicing for the Dark Knight Rises. So I give it that. At the end, I'm just gonna glance at you. We're gonna say nothing. We're gonna nod. And we're gonna go our separate way.
And that's
I
the end.
wonder if Christopher Nolan was watching that. I was like, whoa, we're gonna do that again. Oh, right now? No, give it like a couple years. That's how I'm gonna end my Dark
Give
Knight
me
trilogy.
about 10 years.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
try it again. They did that in one take.
So then when we go to Borden's character, I mean, you get some kind of plot holes, I guess, with him in the sense that you have two characters that are really one character, or one character that's really two characters that seem to kind of contradict each other at times. They don't know what the other person's doing, which I kind of find hard to believe. I understand, like, especially since they were around each other so much, because when one was Borden, the other one was in disguise 10 feet away. So they would have heard conversations and know what was going on. So, I don't know. Talk about, you said earlier how both characters are basically jerks. Well, yeah, the biggest jerk in the movie in some ways is Borden, how he treats his wife, who literally loves him. But because he's so obsessed with his trick, he's playing two men trying to woo one woman, and she can see right through his bullcrap. He's like, look, some days you say you love me, and you totally mean it. And other days you say it, and I know you're full of crap.
Mhm.
And he's like, oh, it's no big, what are you talking about? And then he's totally okay with that. And eventually she comes to the point where I think he's cheating on me, which he is and he isn't. And she kills herself. And, oh, well, like, I'm not saying it didn't bother him, but the show must go on. Like, that's it. Life
Yeah.
continues. Oh, well, like, it's sad, but no big deal. And I mean, I guess the other brother, it's like, well, I got Olivia. Sucks to be you, but I have my own woman now.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is also angry because she keeps getting mixed messages from the same guy, which is two guys.
Yeah. That's a good thing to know, ladies. Don't get involved with a twin.
Yeah, especially when you don't know that he is a twin. And you're like, why is it you said this yesterday, but you said this? I didn't say that. You're
Yeah.
like, no, you did. Did I? You know, if a guy says, I love you today, or not today, but maybe tomorrow, yeah, you might want to get out of that relationship
Yeah.
like right away. Or ask if he's a magician secretly. But even then, he's probably not going to tell you.
Yeah. They don't reveal their tricks.
Yeah, of
Or
course.
their-
Of course.
their
Until you're
secrets.
dead, apparently. Or that you've left them.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call, Christian Bale. Good call. The thing with Angier is, okay, he does kill a clone. I mean, I don't know what that means, what the ethical repercussions are for that, but essentially he kills a clone, but he can essentially keep living. He could have been successful and probably just framed, went on living. Borden, on the other hand, actually has to live a double life that affects himself as well as other people around him.
Right.
Because he's actually living as one person with two bodies, not a clone, real person, and also it affects other people in his life, his daughter, his wife, his assistant. So even at the end, he's won, but he does have a daughter, but he's lost everything. He's lost Olivia, he's lost his wife. He's not even successful from a magical perspective because no one knows who he is. Everyone knows him as the guy who killed Angier and then was hung. So at the end, he's a big loser. He can never really show his face the true way again. He can never be a magician. He can finally be a real father, but even then, it's kind of like, hi. Eventually, does he tell his daughter that, like, I'm kind of responsible for your mom killing herself because I lied to her the entire life? But hey, it was all for success, which, by the way, I can't share with anybody because everyone thinks I'm a murderer. So, but it was successful for me. And that's all that matters. So hopefully his daughter, she'll probably put him in the insane asylum after that. Next, wait till he tells his daughter that he dresses up like a bat at night. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing too is like
Dating a woman that dresses up like a cat. So
that's weird.
yeah.
But for him, how does he actually provide for his daughter? Because most likely anything that he owned was in Borden's name,
Yeah.
which now would be gone.
Yeah. And I have a feeling, despite the fact that he was gaining some success, he probably didn't have that much money anyway.
No.
He's gotten, I don't know. I have no idea yet. I don't know. I mean, like I said, unless he does some magic of the disguise on his face, but then I feel like he's not really raising his daughter again. And then he can't really do the same tricks anymore.
Yeah.
It's just him. So I don't know. So at the end of the day, it's just a good movie.
I'd say it's a good movie. It's one of like my favorite. I love Christopher Nolan personally. I don't know. It kind of has like a realness to it in that nobody's really good. Everyone's kind of bad. They're just selfish.
Mm.
I mean, really, it's capitalism at its core.
Had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Classic.
Everybody's just trying to.
Everyone's greedy.
Yeah, everybody
Everyone's
wants their
trying to
own thing, and they just gotta fight to be better. Awkward than the other person, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's you're just constantly trying to one up someone else. Yeah, it's I don't know. Out of 10, I'd give it a solid like 8.
Yeah, I'd probably give it around 8. Like you, I like Christopher Nolan. I think his movies are really, really good. What I appreciate about them is they're very abnormal. They're never like basic. They always have to add something at the end that's very twisty, and yet all his movies seem very different. You know, whether it be about dreams, space, or magic, or Batman,
Or even his World War II movie.
or even a World War II movie where they can't just tell it basically. You know, it's got to be told in segments. No, I think the storytelling is good. I think the actors are really good. And like I said, I really appreciate the fact that it's a movie where I feel satisfied at the end while also not liking any of the characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Like actually saying like, I don't really like both of these guys, but I feel like I'm satisfied at the end.
Yeah.
Everybody won and lost, and everybody got what they deserved, I guess, except for his daughter, of course, who lost her mother. But hey, as long as he's a successful magician, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is like capitalism.
Thank you so much for attending our first video. If you liked it, please let us know, and let us know in the comments what you want us to review. You know, we're just two guys with two heads, so we obviously haven't seen everything. So there's lots of movies that, you know, would probably blow our minds. Well, thanks for watching, and tune in next time for